For several peaceful months, St. Mary's Catholic Church in the Ghanaian village of Asamankis felt reborn. The echoes of a troubling past, when an evil spirit had been banished, seemed distant. The children's laughter rang out after Mass, the choir's voices soared with confidence, and Father Joseph Samans carried a newfound warmth. The village believed the darkness had been vanquished for good. But darkness, as it often does, leaves faint traces. A young man named Kwame had become a beloved figure in the parish. He swept the stone floors, polished the wooden pews, and greeted everyone with a cheerful "good morning." He had found an old cloth in the sacristy, a simple white square, and tied it around his wrist to wipe sweat as he walked. No one thought much of it, not even Kwame. At first, the changes were subtle. The candles on the altar began to flicker with an unnatural green flame instead of their usual golden glow. During evening prayers, soft whispers floated through the church, though the doors were locked and no one lingered nearby. Father Joseph grew weary, his strength sapped by an unseen force. One night, he dreamt of the prayer garden behind the church. The earth over an old grave, belonging to a woman named Efua, shifted, and a gaunt, trembling hand reached out. A voice hissed, "The service continues through new hands." Father Joseph awoke, heart pounding, and summoned Brother Kofi and Mama Ya for a meeting. "Something stirs again," he said, his voice heavy. They resolved to keep vigil in the church that night, armed with prayer. At midnight, St. Mary's was still, save for the faint ticking of a clock. Kwame had finished his cleaning hours earlier and gone home. Father Joseph lit 3 candles on the altar and began reciting Psalm 23. Brother Kofi and Mama Ya joined, their voices steady. Halfway through, a sudden gust extinguished the candles, plunging the church into darkness. The air grew thick with the acrid scent of burnt oil. Footsteps, soft, deliberate, echoed from the back of the church. "Who's there?" Father Joseph called. The footsteps halted. A whisper slithered through the air, "The service never ends." Mama Ya clutched her rosary, whispering, "It's her. Efua spirit." A faint glow appeared near the pews, shapeless at first, then morphing into 2 figures struggling to separate, one resembling Kwame, the other a gaunt woman. Their voices overlapped, desperate and angry. "We only sought blessings. They promised us light." Father Joseph raised his crucifix. "In God's name, you will not claim another soul." The wind howled, rattling the windows. He prayed louder, Mama Ya's hymns rising in harmony. The figures twisted, screamed, and dissolved into ash like dust that settled on the floor. Slowly, the candles reignited, one by one. The next morning, Kwame arrived at the rectory, trembling. "Father, I don't understand," he said. "When I used that cloth, I felt powerful, like everyone admired me. But last night, I dreamt of a woman standing beside me as I swept. She was weary and said she needed to rest in me." Father Joseph showed him the cloth, now pristine white but etched with faint words, "Return what is not yours." He sprinkled holy water on it, and it burned to ashes instantly. Kwame's eyes widened. "I didn't know, Father. I just wanted to serve." Father Joseph placed a hand on his shoulder. "True service comes from a pure heart, not pride or power." They prayed together until dawn. That Sunday, St. Mary's overflowed with worshippers. During the final hymn, a thunderclap shook the roof, and every pew creaked once, a sharp, dry snap. Then silence. Father Joseph stood calmly. "It is finished," he said. From that day, no whispers or strange scents troubled the church. Brother Kofi later shared a lesson with the village: when service turns to pride, darkness creeps in. When service is rooted in love, even darkness flees. In the prayer garden, vibrant lilies bloomed over Efua's grave, though no one had planted them. When asked about them, Father Joseph smiled and said, Perhaps she's found the peace she sought. Years passed, and St. Mary stood proudly atop Asamanke's hill. Kwame resumed his duties, but now, before touching a pew, he placed his hand on it and prayed, "Lord, let all who sit here find light, not sorrow." Blessings followed. A barren woman bore a child, a jobless man found work, and wayward youth discovered purpose. The village whispered that Kwame's prayers had unlocked a river of grace. One rainy evening, as Father Joseph locked the church, he saw a shadow near the altar. "Who's there?" he called. A faint figure appeared, effure, but serene. "Father," she said softly, "I sought praise, not God. Thank you for freeing me." He made the sign of the cross, and a light enveloped her, fading like mist. Kwame, standing nearby with his rosary, whispered, "Father, did you see her?" Father Joseph nodded. "She came in peace." When Father Joseph grew frail, he called Kwame and Mama Ya to his bedside. "Keep praying," he urged. That night, the church bell rang on its own. Villagers rushed to St. Mary's, finding Father Joseph's body, a serene smile on his face, his rosary in hand. On the altar lay his final note, "Prayer cleans deeper than any broom." Evil hides in silence, but prayer exposes it. Years later, an elderly Kwame told the village children, "Once, a woman's pride brought darkness to this church. But prayer turned curses into blessings." Pointing to the gleaming pews, he added, "These seats once held sorrow. Now, they carry grace, because of prayer."